This is Sir Arthur Ashton. During the siege of Drogheda in Ireland in 1649, his own men beat him to death with his own wooden leg. And this is Hatshepsut. She was married to the pharaoh in the 15th century BC, and when her husband died, rather than let regents run the country for her infant son, she put on a fake beard and called herself the pharaoh and ruled pretty well, and the rest of the Egyptians basically went along with it. And this is Carl Akeley, the father of modern taxidermy. During his first collecting trip to Africa in 1896, he was attacked by a leopard who seized his right hand in its jaws, and he managed to kill it with his left hand and by kneeling on its chest. And while we're talking about interesting things, did you know that armadillos are excellent swimmers? So these are all fascinating stories, and every one of them would make either a good movie or a series on Netflix. But, well, here's the thing. This is a cranberry. It turns out that the most interesting thing about a cranberry is that it's the only fruit that will bounce when it's dropped. If we're going to talk about cranberries, and if we're going to come up with anything interesting to say about them, we're going to have to make it up out of whole cloth. And before we do that, I think we should have a drink. Okay, so this is what I call a utility cocktail. It requires something citrusy, in this case a lime, a spirit, in this case tequila. I feel like some jalapeno tonight, so I'm using Tanteo. And something sweet, in this case cranberry syrup, which is made from cranberry juice and sugar, equal amounts boiled together. Okay, so let's... don't cut your thumb off. We're going to squeeze some fresh lime juice. 1 ounce. So that's halfway up this tiny measuring cup. And come on. There's always a little more lime juice in the lime than you think there's going to be. Yeah, that's not quite a full ounce. So let's go just a little bit more. Yeah, there. See, I folded it over so I could get just a little bit more lime juice. And it's still not quite up to 1 ounce. So let's... Oh, okay. Here, let's add some ice. Because ice is nice. Ice is what you want to get a proper mixture and to chill it. And okay, so there's the lime juice that we've got. And I'm still not... Here, there, a squeeze. That'll bring us back up to 1 ounce. Okay, now 2 ounces of spirit, in this case jalapeno infused tequila. And let's put the cork back in there, because if I tip it over... Okay, there we go. And 3/4 of an ounce of whatever syrup we're going for. In this case, the cranberry syrup. Okay. Put that away, and there we go. Okay, so 2 ounces of liquor, 1 ounce of fruit juice, 3/4 of an ounce of something sweet. Okay. I'm going to seat the top, give it a nice shake. As usual, just go till it feels really cold. And here we go. Going to strain it out. There, now you can see that beautiful ruby color. And if you look carefully, you can see little tiny chips of ice in there. Oh, that's super refreshing. And cranberry, holidays, family. Yeah, we need some refreshing. Oh, okay, I think we're ready for a story now.
A short story, The Cranberry Queen. When Charlotte sent in her application to be Cranberry Queen, it seemed straightforward enough. She was looking at colleges, and she was going to have to pay at least part of her own way through school. Her parents had been extremely articulate on that point. Charlotte had to admit that her odds of nailing down an academic scholarship weren't great. The confluence of her physical blossoming and her discovery of an intense interest in boys with fast cars had pretty much eclipsed her attention to academics over the past year or so. It had also distracted her from summer jobs, which she could have used to save for college. That meant she had to get more creative with her search for scholarship money. The search for a Cranberry Queen seemed like a good bet. Charlotte had heard that beauty pageants often awarded solid scholarships, and she knew she would look good in a bathing suit and a ball gown. She could sing, a little, and she figured that with a week or so to practice and enough internet videos for reference, she could learn to twirl a baton or make guacamole or something for the talent portion of a competition. So she sent in an application. To her surprise, this resulted in a second, longer, much longer, nearly 40 pages long, application that called for some pretty unexpected information. A detailed astrological chart of the time and place she was born. Comprehensive genealogical information going back 5 generations on both sides of her family. 15 character references. Charlotte had to invent the final 3 out of whole cloth. A Rorschach test. A dream journal. A sample of her hair. And even stranger things, including a 2,000-word essay on her feelings about bears. Apparently someone liked Charlotte's answers, because 2 weeks later she had a round of interviews with attorneys and professional photo shoots with the expected ball gowns, but also ruby-encrusted tiaras and even, she was pretty sure, a genuine Lippensonner stallion. A more suspicious girl would have paused at some point to question all this, but the same trusting nature that had made Charlotte so popular with the boys with fast cars made her more than willing to indulge in the adventure of the process, and she threw herself into it with a smile. Which, long story short, is how Charlotte Pimpernel found herself being crowned the Cranberry Queen. Not, as she eventually discovered, the winner of a beauty pageant sponsored by the Cranberry Council, but the actual Queen of Cranberries. The sovereign monarch of the actual berries. She got off to a bit of a rocky start, admittedly. She knew that as the ruler of the cranberries, she was supposed to take an antioxidant stance, but a poor understanding of synonyms and a worse grasp of spelling led her to declare hostilities against the Occident, North America and Europe, which was fortunately smoothed over fairly quickly. But as Charlotte matured and grew into her role, she grew to love her subjects, who, in turn, adored and venerated her. In later years, they came to view her as their collective Granberry. Her reign was long and fruitful. She lived happily, and with a squeaky clean urinary tract.
This is another utility cocktail. 3 ingredients. So, very simple. Let's start with the ice. We want to mix this up nicely. All that's good. And let's go with 2 ounces of good rum. In this case, Plantaray. It used to be Plantation, but they finally realized that was probably bad branding. So Plantaray pineapple rum. Could be any good golden rum. And for the, instead of lime juice or lemon juice, we're going to go with unsweetened cranberry juice. It's going to be very tart, very acidic. Keep spilling. And that's 1.5 ounces of the cranberry juice. One from the big side of the jigger, 1 ounce, and one from the small side, 1/2 ounce. And finally, for a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of fruitiness, we're going to go with amaretto. Much like citrus, amaretto, almonds go with everything. And the amaretto is going to add that sweetness, going to mix really well with that tartness. Okay, so let's put the top on the shaker. And, it really doesn't matter what kind of shaker you use. It comes down to personal preference. This one's kind of nice because it's got a built-in strainer. And again, that cranberry has given this a beautiful ruby color. And there's still a little bit left in there, but we'll leave that till after we take a little sip. Yeah, that's some good stuff. You've got the sour, you got the sweet, you've got the fruity. Again, perfect drink for the Cranberry Queen.